All right, who is going to round out the Warriors roster? Coming up next, we'll have a Warrior video breaking down who are the options for that 14th roster spot. But first, we are brought to you by Pig in a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show, the best barbecue in Northern California. 2 locations, Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. in both locations or until they run out. So make sure you get there with plenty of time before they close. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Golden State Warriors and what they're going to do for that final roster spot and what options they have. Now, it's been an interesting offseason for Golden State. They subtracted Jordan Poole. They subtracted Dante DiVincenzo. They've now since added Chris Paul, Dario Saric, Brandon Pajemski in the draft, and then Trace Jackson Davis in the draft as well. They signed Lester Quinones to a 2-way deal, so they have basically 2 roster spots left. Their 14th and 15th roster spot and 1 2-way deal. Will they sign Reggie Perry as their second 2-way player? I could easily see that happening. The big man had a very good summer league for Golden State. But let's talk a little bit about the candidates for that 14th roster spot. Now, the 15th spot, I think they're going to leave open. If they leave that 15th roster spot open, you got a chance to sign somebody along the way. You also have a chance to sign somebody who gets bought out in the middle of the season. So I think Golden State may save a little money and keep some roster flexibility and keep that 15th spot open. But as far as the 14th spot, there are a number of options. Now, what are the prerequisites? And let's talk about some of the candidates and the reasons I like some and the reasons I don't like some. All right, the prerequisites, I think, for the job, if you're Golden State, and Mike Dunleavy has emphasized this time and time again this offseason, they want players who know how to play. They want mature players. They don't want players that don't know how to play. They don't want just guys who are springy athletes, but they really have no concept of how to play team basketball. It's a 5-on-5 game, and the Warriors play a high IQ brand of basketball with a lot of body movement and ball movement. You got to be able to play well off the basketball, not just with the ball in your hand. So they want guys, A, who know how to play. B, I think they're looking for guys who know how to shoot. There's such a premium on shooting in today's NBA that I really think that you want to have as few non-shooters as possible on the floor. So I just think that whatever player they add in that 14th spot has got to be able to shoot the basketball. And then, there's a lot of age on this team with Steph and Clay and Draymond, not to mention Chris Paul, who's 38. And so I really think they want to make sure that this 14th player is a player that's not too old to play minutes. And I think also they're looking for somebody who's healthy. So they want a healthy player. They want a relatively young player. They want somebody who can probably be able to shoot the basketball a little bit. And they really want a mature player, and they want somebody who knows how to play team basketball and can play successfully off the ball. All right, let's go through some of the names that have been thrown out, and we'll start with the guys that I think don't fit, and we'll go into why they don't fit, and then we'll go into the 5 guys that I think ultimately do fit. So let's run through some of the names. Justice Winslow is a name that's been thrown out there, and he's really athletic swingman. But he really doesn't shoot the basketball very well. So I would say no to Winslow just on the fact that he doesn't shoot it. And I think they really are looking for shooting in their wings. So I think Winslow's not a fit. A lot of people have suggested Terrence Ross. Now, Terrence Ross, I think, is got a couple issues. One, I think age is not on his side, and he's not a great defensive player. He's got the athleticism to be a great defensive player, but he just has not been a very reliable defensive player. So I think the combination of the age on Terrence Ross and the questionable defense take him out of the running. One interesting player that I really like a lot is Hamidou Diallo. But you know what? Diallo is a great athlete with huge vertical. He's young, he's healthy, but he really doesn't know how to play basketball. And he's not a shooter per se. He shot 23% on threes. And I just think that the combination of, is he young and springy and athletic and healthy? Yes. but he doesn't really know how to play the team game. He's not very effective playing off the ball, and he shoots the three ball at 23% for his career. So I would say no to Hamidou Diallo, despite the fact he's a crazy athlete. We've heard a lot of Juan Toscano Anderson, a lot of Warrior fans saying, hey, bring back JTA. But once again, JTA he's healthy, and he's not too old, and I think he does know how to play. I think he demonstrated that in his first stop at Golden State. But JTA shoots 18% on threes, and I think that's a deal breaker right there. I just don't see them filling one of these wing spots with somebody who doesn't shoot it, and 18% on threes means he doesn't shoot it. TJ Warren is another name that gets thrown out, but he's barely played. He only played in 46 games total over the last 3 seasons. So even though I love TJ Warren, I think he knows how to play. He definitely can shoot. I don't think he's too old, but health is his issue. He's not really healthy. So I would put a line through TJ Warren. Another name that's gotten thrown out, bring back Andre Iguodala. Oh, Iguodala, everybody loves Iguodala. I think Iguodala is just too old. He obviously knows how to play. He can shoot well enough. But as far as his age and his health, no. Draw a line through Iguodala just because he's too old and he's not healthy. All right, let's go to another ex-Warrior. How about Kelly Oubre? People have suggested Kelly might be great for a second stint. And there's no question he's in his prime. He's healthy. And I think he kind of knows how to play, but we're talking about another guy who's inconsistent as a shooter, and he really makes poor decisions on the floor. He's got a really poor shot selection, and he makes bad decisions. I think he hoists way too many shots. He thinks of himself as a better player than he is. He'll shoot you out of as many games as he'll shoot you in. So I'll say no to Kelly Oubre. Another guy that gets brought up is R.J. Hampton. R.J. Hampton is healthy, and he's not too old. He's definitely in his prime. But I don't think R.J. Hampton really knows how to play. He's an incredible run and jump athlete, but on this team, I don't think he could play effectively off the ball. So I'd put a line through R.J. Hampton. Some people have said Glenn Robinson III, and Glenn Robinson III knows how to play. He's not too old. But, and he can shoot it all right. But how healthy is Glenn Robinson III? He didn't even play last year. So I would say, even though I like Glenn Robinson III, probably the most out of the group we've named so far, I just think coming off a year where he didn't play in the NBA, I don't know how many minutes you can really depend on Glenn Robinson III for. So I would say no to him. Then a lot of people have thrown out Rudy Gay. And Rudy Gay knows how to play. There's no question. And he can definitely shoot. But even health-wise, I think healthy, and I think he might be healthy enough. He got waived by Oklahoma City. He's 37 at this point. I just think he's too old. Golden State does not need another really, really old body on the team. They've got veterans, and this guy is 37 years old. He's going to be 37 when the season rolls around. He's a 17-year vet. So I would say no to Rudy Gay based on age. And then the name that also comes up quite a bit, and I saw it a couple times today online, is the big man Bismack Biyombo, which is it's a great name. And I think Bismack Biyombo fits a lot of the prerequisites. He's not too old. I think he's healthy. But as far as, I think he's solely, he does a couple things really well. He's a good shot blocker. He's just not a shooter. And I think you got to be able to shoot. You can't have a non-shooter like Bismack Biyombo on your team. And he's such a non-shooter that he shot 55% from the foul line. So even though I think there's some likable traits about Bismack Biyombo, I would say no to him as well. So that's a lot of no. Who do I like? Who should they be looking at? Well, let me give you the list that I would have. One, this might be a little bit of a pipe dream, but Christian Wood. Christian Wood has averaged 18 points and 9 rebounds over the last 3 years. Dallas was 9-8 in the games that he started this year. He's healthy. He can shoot. He's 27. He can score from the 3-point line. This year, Christian Wood averaged 16.6 points a game, 7.3 rebounds a game, 1.8 assists per game, shot 52% from the field, and 38% from beyond the arc in a year where he made $14.3 million. Now, I got to think that maybe there's a chance of a sign and trade that would land him a better deal than a league minimum. So, and then here's where Golden State just being among the contenders and not a top contender to win it all, I think probably impacts this situation. If Golden State were a dominant number one contender, I think Christian Wood, who hasn't won a ring, would sign here in a minute and not think twice about it. But because they're just among a group of contenders, I could see another contender, offering the Lakers. He could go to the Lakers. He could go to any number of teams. And I just think that, one, I think he's probably waiting around for a sign and trade deal that gives him more than $2 million a year. And also, the Warriors are just, I'm not saying they're just another team, but they're one of like 5 or 6 teams in the West that could all contend. And is he really going to take a $12 million pay cut to come play for what could be the 5 seed in the West or the 6 seed? Probably not. So Christian Wood absolutely would be my number one choice to round out this roster with the 14th spot. And if you can get him, awesome. I just have doubts whether that's possible. All right, let's go to the other options as well. I've long been a fan of Frank Kaminsky. Kaminsky's coming off a year where he didn't do much. 2.5 points a game, 1.4 rebounds a game, less than an assist per game, 49% from the field. But this guy knows how to play. He knows body positioning. He knows how to play off the ball. He's not going to pout if he sits the bench for a week. And he shoots 39% from beyond the arc as a guy who can play stretch 5 or the stretch 4. So a 3-point shooter, and he's not old, and he knows how to play, and he can play off the ball. I like Kaminsky, and I think Kaminsky would make a lot of sense. The Warriors, to play for the Warriors, you really have to know how to play basketball, and Frank really does. He knows how to play the game, so he's definitely on my short list. Stanley Johnson, who played at Arizona, averaged 5.8 points a game this last year, 3.2 rebounds, 2.2 steals. Stanley Johnson is super athletic, great body for the game. He's young enough, he's healthy enough, and he shot 45% from 3. And he could just be a late bloomer that's coming into his own. I really like Stanley Johnson quite a bit. That would be a very nice addition right there. Another one is Javonte Green. Now, Green had a right knee injury, and I'm a little concerned about that. He's a little undersized at 6'4". He's a 2-guard, averaged 5 points, 2 rebounds, shot 57% on field goals this last year, made $1.8 million. He shot 37% on threes, and I like him. I mean, he's a defender. He's an athlete. He's a good enough shooter. Javonte Green might be a good option. And the 5th guy I'll throw out is Derek Jones. Derek Jones is a 6'6" guy with a 7-foot wingspan. He's 26. I think he can guard 2s, 3s, and 4s. He gives them a crazy athletic wing. He's a guy that I would have a lot of interest in if he had interest in coming to the Warriors. So, yes on Christian Wood, yes on Frank Kaminsky, yes on Stanley Johnson, yes on Javonte Green, yes on Derek Jones. The rest of the guys I'm not nearly as excited about, and I just don't think they fit for a variety of reasons. All right, hope you enjoyed our video on the Warriors. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.